realized I left my mic unmuted anyway, so I'm the super unprofessional guy this time around. We're live with the Metal Lab, and look, I got company, guys. Look at it. Look at all these people.
Hello.
We're going to do a quick roll call because I haven't done one of these in a little while. I'm joined this week by Mr. Mike White.
Hello.
From Happy Little Heroclix, Devon.
Hello.
And Jay.
I'm here.
One of these days I'll give him an epic. Actually, no, I did give him one epic one. It was when he won a tournament, and I gave him the trumpets and everything. It's been a while since we've seen our guys, and it's the week leading into the first wave of States Poppers events. So a little bit to talk about with regards to that, because all we've ever heard on the channel is me talk about it. So it's gonna be exciting to hear everybody else's voice about it. But as always, we like to ask everybody, how's your week been in Heroclix? Mike, let's start with you.
It was okay. I actually got to play some HeroClix this week, yesterday. 401 had an event, but funnily enough, none of the judges showed up. It's so weird. I don't know how that happens. But anyway, so they had an event. It was 500-point Golden Age. Mystical counted as named theme for the event. I knew that Emily was going, and Emily and I really more wanted to practice. Turns out Devon was going as well. Current Canadian national champion. I have to give him that shout out all the time. He deserves it.
The current Canadian national champion.
Yes. The king,
Devon.
the king of the North. King of the North. In a wonderful blast from the past, return out of the ether, Mr. Mike Payne showed up for the event.
Who?
Yeah, I know, right? So that was a welcome surprise. So it actually ended up just being the four of us. So what we did was we sort of played the event, but didn't play the event. Mike built a team from stuff that was there. And I will point out that curse you, Mr. Jason Collins, because you have gotten me to actually buy a non-superhero-based HeroClix set. The only other time I've done that was the first
I am the captain now.
Yes. Look at my teeth. I am the captain. Look at my teeth. I know. Yeah, I actually bought the whole WWE set because it was such an easy way to buy it all. So I bought all 18 single figures. I bought the ring, and I bought the other Rock and Sock Connection starter because curse you, Mr. Jason Collins. Yeah, so I had to do it. Anyway, so we had a bunch of that stuff there. So Mike just built a team really. Actually, I think he was going to build the wrestlers, but then he ended up using, I think, a Justice League team that somebody had. So whenever anybody was playing Mike, we kind of you'd use your team for the event, and then whenever we were playing one of the other two, we practiced our popper teams. So I actually played Mike first round. So he had what did he have again? He had Batman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, all from. I want to say Rebirth. Yeah, I think it was Rebirth. And Billy Batson and something else. Cyborg. It was really a kind of a just thrown together team. It wasn't horrible, and Mike's a good player, so he was playing well. I made a mystical theme team because that was what the scenario was, and I thought that's what everybody would do. And I based mine actually around the Hood because I've just kind of really wanted to play him. So I played the Hood with the extra 15 points to put a gauntlet on him. Raven, rare from Rebirth. There's a Tana, super rare from Batman Animated Series. Earth X Loki at full 150 points. Dormammu Colossal and Tri-Sentinel Colossal, because, I'm just that kind of guy. And I think I threw a ring on there too. I put the Influence ring. That's the one for the free knockback 3-square thing, right? Force Blast. I ended up equipping that to Loki because I don't know. It's kind of fun to have him do that, like phase teleport across the map and then like free knockback somebody into a wall. I won map and I picked the underground map because I'm just going to be using the Hood to carry everybody because he gets to access all those powers when he's got a gauntlet on him. So I just used him to carry everybody around, and I had all these probs and perplexes was the whole plan. The dice were hilarious. They definitely ran like the entire gambit of highs and lows. Like one turn where I rolled a 6 with Loki's power, so everybody on my team had +1 to stats. And then I went to go and use the hood to carry everybody, move, and then he'd get to attack for free as part of his powers from having a gauntlet. So before I did that, I decided to pick powers with the Infinity Gauntlet that I put on him. I picked, I think, willpower because I needed it because I already had a token, I believe. And then I rolled the d6 and I rolled a 2, so I took damage, which means I lost the power that allows him to carry everybody and then make the attack that I was about to make anyway. So the +1 on my stats was kind of pointless. It was that kind of a funny game. So I'd roll something really good, and then I'd follow it up with something totally useless, or I'd have all the stat boosts, and then I'd roll a bunch of 3s. It was a close game. I think I beat Mike 140 points to like 80 points, something like that. So my second game was against Devon. Devon was trying out a Brotherhood-based Pauper team. So he's got Exodus, Danger Room Magneto, Danger Room Sabretooth, Blob, Amelia Voight, and a what are they called? The guards, the
Guard Command.
Guard Command. Thank you, Hellfire Club guards. Really. So I'm pretty sure that was everything that he had on his team. I played against it before in a practice game we had a while back, and it plays really well. And Devon, Devon's a great player. He understands. He sees the math, and he sees how stuff is annoying. Like Blob can be really annoying if you just shove him in a spot and let him build up those tokens. He becomes really hard to hit, and plus you're only doing 1 damage to him anyway. He surprises you. I'm surprised how often I see Blob actually charge with an object and make that attack. Like, it doesn't seem like he can go very far, but he just always seems to manage to get in your space. My team, the one I decided to try this week, and I have to say as a side note as well, all my building for Pauper, I didn't look at what anybody else was building at all, but everything I've built, somebody else has already built. So I have clearly no originality to my building. I think the format, unfortunately, has just certain figures that you just automatically go to, and then when you start to build around those figures, you just kind of automatically, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I built a Nimrod team before, and of course I had Sentinels on it, and where there was the one robot one where it's Nimrod, Sentinel 1, and Danger Room Magneto, right? It plays really, like, it just plays pretty well. Without even watching the In the Mind of Madness, I built a team that was Nimrod, Oliver Trask, I think I did Sentinel 1 again, Senator Kelly, and same thing. Make a bunch of Friends of Humanity, make a bunch of Sentinels. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I just don't find the number manipulating there. Like, you know what I mean? I struggled with having the values. Like, even though I have theme probs, there was no perplexes. There's no real way to milk the values. It was what I was struggling with that build. Anyway, so this time around, another unoriginal build. I finally just said, you know what, I'm going to try Avengers. And of course, Medusa, Voyager, Aim Red, Aim White, Hulk at 50, the Hulk starter from everybody knows
Mighty
who it is.
Thor. Yep.
Yeah, Mighty Thor. Crystal, and two different giant girls, each at 10, and had somebody else in there too. It's 8 figures. It's Avengers. It's not really overly thought out like everybody else is. Voyager carries a bunch of people. You pop out living hair. You hope to get a bunch of attacks in. It's fun to free Quake with Crystal. It's fun to free Quake with Hulk. Blah blah blah. Insert. It's not original. So anyway, but for me at least, it's not a play style that I usually do. I don't really play Alpha Strike teams like that. I don't play a lot of figures like that. It's not normally my bag. But I'm trying it out anyway. I won map with my +8. Not really a surprise. I picked the underground map because I just wanted to make it harder for Exodus to, have lines of fire or do any pulse waving. I made sure to murder Exodus immediately, and I got a bunch of good quakes in. Oh yeah, I also have a Mudman. I threw a Mudman on there because why not? Here's another person who can quake. Mudman and Hulk did a bunch of quaking. Crystal did a bunch of quaking. Giant Girls did some colossal retaliating. I wiped out his team, and I think I lost 100 points, something like that. I lost 110. Yeah, because I lost Crystal, I lost Hulk, and I lost a Giant Girl, so 110. And then my last game was against Emily. So same deal. We played Pauper format. Her team was Shredder from the Unplugged.
Okay.
It's a non-theme team. So it was Shredder. Oh man, so funny the makeup. Alex Wilder, Danger Room Magneto, the Red Skull, and right, it's hard to remember because it's an Emily team.
Weird.
It's a really weird team.
Is it another Emily Good Stuff team?
Yeah, it does a lot of interesting things. I think she's still fiddling with aspects of it, which is the only reason why it isn't like a runaway thing right now. And I think it's also slightly different than what her play style is, because I think really the Avenger team I have, I think is more Emily's normal style than it is my style. I won map, of course, because I have a +8 and she has a +0. So really, it would have been some typical Mike if I'd not won map. Anyway, I picked the underground map because she had Red Skull and I've got 2 Colossals, and why do I want to let some across the map mind controlling and stuff like that happen? It just didn't seem to make any sense. So yeah, most things went my way pretty well. Again, free quaking is great. Living hair is amazing when you have perplexes and enhancement or empower. Jack up the stats, make a bunch of attacks, and it works out. So I went 3-0 on the day. I assume that's what I'm going to play for Pauper. I keep jumping all over the place because I really not committed to anything, and I don't know. I guess I'm only sad because, like everybody else, when you get new stuff, especially the X-Men set, you want to be able to play with all of it. And there's so many of the rares and super rares and stuff from that set that I really want to be building with. So I think I'm just not as jazzed on Pauper as I'd like to be. I feel like I'm sort of just giving in to what everybody else is building, so I feel a little less original. But that being said, I'm still grateful for an opportunity to play a different way. I do appreciate WizKids and The Rock for trying out different formats and different styles of play to get people to play with different figures and think in new ways, hopefully. Maybe this could be looked at to rejigged. Who knows? I got to say also, too, I was really surprised noticing the whole tab thing. Like with the WWE figures, they all have the kind of the gold tab, but they're considered to be common. But why then isn't something like the Tri-Sentinel then as a purchasable considered common for the format? Obviously, if it was, I'd be like crushing it with that Nimrod and Tri-Sentinel, because how could you not play those two together? Like, whoa.
Bye, Graydon Creed.
Yeah. Whoa. But anyway, really, that's just salty tears on my part that it's not there. But anyway, again, I think maybe they want to look at ways of adjusting the format a little bit. But I'm just probably jumping ahead of myself since that's coming up next weekend. That was my week in clicks.
All right.
Yay.
Devin, what you been up to this week?
A whole lot of nothing. Oh, man. Super quick. I both judge a venue Thursday nights, but then our judge for the Sunday venue couldn't make it that day, so I also ran the event there. So I played the buy rounds. Last Thursday was Halloween, of course, so we did 400 points Golden Age build Halloween stuff. I tried to build Halloween cereals because in America we have all these sugary cereals based on Halloween monsters. I never really got into it. It's just a thing. Can you
You
hear
should
me?
have seen Amber's face when she found a box of Frankenberry over here.
Ah, yes.
Oh, Blueberry. I miss
I did have
Blueberry,
Frankenstein on my team. I realized once I had put every generic monster on my team, though, I was only at like 200 points. So in the same box,
Undead
I pulled
problems.
yeah. Same pulling from the same box. I keep my undead clicks in. I grabbed Dark Knight Rises Joker because I haven't played it yet. Monster keyword, and then I still had 100 points. So I'm like, I'll try this Wendigo figure. Oh gosh, guys, I know why. I know why Wendigo is on some teams now.
Why,
Just,
a Wendigo?
Yeah, so, more than one. Yeah, not unique.
Yeah,
I could.
He's
Oh,
one
boy.
of the ones I'm upset that I'm not being able to play right now. I mean,
Yeah,
I made
right?
some a monster fun team. I'm
I
so
kind of felt bad
excited
because I'm
for.
already playing the unfortunate players who get the bye, so they get the win already. But man, does Wendigo, if he lands some attacks, start mowing down entire teams? It was pretty nuts. I felt bad. It got to the point one game I was just like, I'm going to keep this Wendigo on the side, and you're just going to fight the 200-point generic monsters. We'll have fun with that. So I did. Sunday was 1,000 points. You could have a maximum of 4 figures. So
Okay.
I pulled, I had Dark Phoenix and 3 Kleinstock brothers.
Nice.
Yeah, why not? Do something stupid. But that's about it. We have our first test practice event this Thursday for Pauper States, and then South Dakota has their championship Saturday, and then I'm judging mine on the 16th. That's about it.
All right, Jay, what you got for me?
All hypothetical.
What's that?
Like nothing really.
Nothing.
Nothing was played. Just theory crafting. Nothing interesting. I have teams for casual, and I'm like, okay. And then I play about 100 more because I just feel like it. And then I make my one team for Pauper on Sunday. So that was about it.
All right. Well, down here in Married with Clicksville, we ran our usual tournaments at Dolly's now, which is very close to our house. And I'm running the event, so much like Devon, I'm playing on the bye. This week, it was 400 points golden, and we were playing for Baron Mordo. Yeah, that's right. We have monthly OP kit prizing now. I'm no longer pulling for my extra stuff.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm a little sad that I am no longer pulling for my extra stuff because I still got some rings to give away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that said, this week I came with more. Like last week, I came with WWE stuff, but that one was like the Mojo Celebrity Team. This time, I brought old school wrestlers and Finn Balor. So it was Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Undertaker. Sorry, I didn't say it right. The Undertaker, Eddie Guerrero, and Finn Balor was my team. So 5-man WWE team, and it was like I was saying on the Patreon Hangout last night. That team that, like, if you play in all WWE figures, and if you've ever played against a player who's on, like, their first or second or still, like, maybe their first dozen tournaments, you're just moving your characters forward and hoping for the best. WWE rewards that. And that is something I am still getting used to, is that it just lets you do that. But I was playing in the bye rounds, had a lot of fun in the first round with Amber, I believe it was the first round. And second round, one of our newer players, Mike, him and his son have just started playing the game at X-Men animated series. So I worked with him, kind of helped focus his strategies and whatnot. And then in the third round, I played against his son. Again, also trying to help him out with, trying to help the both of them out, kind of develop their game to that next level. Like, they understand the game. They seem to understand the rules for the most part. There's just getting that awareness of what you have and what's available to you and the tools that you have. But one of the cutest things was every time I referred to my Ric Flair, and made an action with it, my daughter, every time she caught wind of me saying Ric Flair, you'd hear in the little background, woo!
It's hard not to.
Right?
It's hard not to want to just, like, hey, what is that special power? It doesn't matter what that special power does.
If I find you at the next tournament, I'm just going to sneak up behind you and go, woo.
You might just hear
Better
me
have that
return-
Ric Flair.
Careful. I do instinctively knife edge chop people who surprise me with woos.
Okay, from across the room.
That is just my mating call. Woo! Woo! Yeah, this stuff has been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to. I feel like there's one more team I have to try before I commit. I am pretty committed to my Nimrod team, but I do want to try one more WWE team just before I say I'm doing Nimrod for surezies with Popper. Which is, of course, the format we walk into this weekend and the next weekend for states. Hopefully we get a lot of results come the end of this week, sharing our own results and seeing whatever I can grab from other events, so we can actually talk about it the next Monday and talk as more events are run the weekend after that. Because that's one of those neat things about a meta game like this. It's like we don't have a ton of results. We have some online play, some local venues. Or you said, hey, this is what happened in our Popper event. But it's still just a small sampling. It's going to be neat to see what we see out there. But Mike kind of covered the fact that when he gets to team building, and Mike is kind of like me, he doesn't want to bring what everybody else is bringing, but sometimes you just have to sacrifice yourself for it. I was going to say your ego, but when it comes to a format like this, you have no choice. There's a very limited number of figures that you could be using. But it is a field where a lot of people are talking about Onslaught, Nimrod, and WWE along with the Avengers team. Like there's a good number of teams that you could possibly play. But I'm going to start with Devon because he's fresh to the show. Do you think there's something that people are overlooking in the Popper format?
Speaking as someone who still doesn't know what I'm going to play Saturday, I have all these ideas, stuff people could overlook that's all right. I haven't tested against anything else. There's just some fun, interesting things you can do with like B tier characters that usually don't show up. If you're looking, for example, to fill out a named theme team that doesn't have a good taxi, you could pair the suited henchman with the Silver Sable, who during force construction grabs you a named keyword. She's also wildcard, so she copies Underworld, can carry taxi, at least one or two characters based on point values there. And then she has sidestep and mastermind. So the person you taxi with you, she could mastermind too, because now they share the same keyword. That's one thing I was pairing up. Another is the common Ant-Man, who makes an adjacent friendly standard size character tiny.
Yeah.
And during the first turn, WWE characters can move for free.
Yep.
So they just bring along whoever you just shrank. So Macho Man could carry the Hulk in. Again, I haven't tested it. Don't take my word for it. Please don't play just because.
Big green man, I'm gonna pick you up.
Yeah.
Got to do the finger
brother.
when you do it.
Jump on my back. Yeah. So just interesting, fun stuff. There's plenty of like starter set figures that I assume people just have never looked at, just because at 300 regular modern, they're not great. Specifically for Popper, though, could do all right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like maybe Don't Die could possibly come back too, because you have the corrupt GCPD cop. The Batman animated series Joker takes a maximum of 2 damage from an attack, but can also heal himself. There's just some interesting stuff. I haven't fleshed a full team out though, so I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Awesome. Jay, think anybody's overlooking anything?
I guess the idea of just not running theme in general, because it's a format where it's not solved, but there's only so many options. So everybody either chooses the one of the 3 that they like the most personally, or they pick the one that they think is most optimal, but it's not really optimal. So it's essentially whatever you choose. So if everybody's doing the same theme and it's the same for everybody, then you're only getting 50-50 anyway, so you may as well just do like an Emily strategy and not care about theme or map, and then you're just free to do whatever you want. So I guess just considering the idea of not using the constraints of theme just because it's learned, or it's just a thing that always happens in general.
Okay, cool. Mike?
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was still muted. I'm like, am I still muted? No, I'm good. Don't pull a J. No, I agree with Jay. Like, of course, that if you look outside of building with theme, then you give yourself more parameters. You're really then just doing a min max thing, right? You're looking at what are all the things I need to have on a team to make things work effectively, and this figure brings it for the least amount of points, and da da da. Of course, I find that way of building always very difficult. I always see the benefit of being able to control the battlefield, and so to have theme and have that bonus to map roll is very huge. Picking map can, make up for not being able to shut down certain things. Like as a good example, outwit. If you have no way of stopping outwit, you have nobody on your team who's immune to outwit. You pick a map where lines of fire are pretty much non-existent, like the underground. It's a cheap way of basically negating outwit. So there's something to be said for building with theme and the benefit of that. Plus the theme probs. I mean, I've rolled some crappy dice as everybody else here has rolled some crappy dice. So who doesn't like to be able to re-roll those crappy dice 4 or 5 times to make up for those persistent 4s? I don't really, from the conversations that I've heard recently, now that I've sort of looked out there and seen how much I'm building like everybody else, it feels like everything has been covered. I've done the scouring and found some figures that are like, oh, this in the right circumstance, this one might work and this one might work. And, I don't necessarily think that anything hasn't sort of been brought up by people. It's kind of just, it's just all out there, really. I wish there was something more. I keep kind of going back to it. I did really try and make President Osborne have a comeback in this. I do think that he could really benefit a team with the bonus to the bodyguard thing, and there's a lot more people who fit in with his keywords and possibilities, and you can make a pretty sweet EarthX team, I think, is another keyword you could look at. But again, I don't think I'm coming up with anything that somebody somewhere hasn't looked at.
Mm-hmm. I was this close to making a Magia team, but then everything that makes it work was a rare. And I was like,
yeah. Yeah, it was exactly the same way. You need a rare to finish it off. Same with enforcers. Yeah. I kept trying to make enforcers work, and it just doesn't work without the rares. If I had the rares, I could totally make a kick-ass enforcers team right now.
And the other problem that I ran into was that once the Highlander rule was instituted, I couldn't use multiple Fancy Dans, and it was like, well, there goes that idea. Because Fancy Dan was going to be a character I was going to use in multitudes. I do have to give Mr. Rick Yell and the chat a little bit of credit for this one. He has kind of reminded me of the existence of Lucy in the Sky. She is one of the few characters with some flat-out running shot pulse wave. Her, along with I believe it was a 60-point Green Lantern uncommon from Elseworlds, which, yes, it's still legal, and it's still a set, oddly enough, guys. Yeah. There's 2 characters with just flat-out running shot pulse wave that, on top dial, could go a long way for dealing with, teams like mine in the Nimrod and whatnot. So, something I've started considering in my head when it's like wondering, is Ontario going to bring that? Am I overthinking myself? Is Mike now currently building 3 teams with the Green Lantern and the
Yeah, you have an interesting rock paper scissors going on, because if one person decides, hey, I'll bring wrestling, then your pulse waivers are like, oh, I can't shoot you.
Yeah, but you win almost every single Nimrod matchup.
Yeah.
So it's such a hard case sort of situation, and it's also still that whole like, be ready for the Juggernaut, because I think even though a lot of people say they have teams that can beat Juggernaut, and there are a number of strategies that just kind of outdo the Juggernaut, you do have to brace yourself for readiness on it, because all it takes is 1 or 2 guys to bring a 300-point Juggernaut while everybody's defenses are down about him, and then all of a sudden it starts to run rampant in your neighborhood. So be ready for the strategies that will work against that particular figure, because a 300-point character who is an uncommon is very capable of running through quite a few strategies in this format. So I'm not saying he's underrated. People are already talking about it, but when you are building your team, do be ready for him. And, you know, any chance you can, even if you're not going to do damage, submission hold him. Don't let him move. Just stay here.
Make sure you bring at least one map with very limited blocking or no blocking at all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And while we're talking about that, so we've talked about things people aren't really thinking about aside from, you know, figures that you can use. But what about the things we have to think about? What do you feel are more hardcore reactions to things? So like Devon just said now, make sure you have a map that has like no blocking on it. And I think you actually mentioned at one point the Metal Arena was a really good one in your Popper review video. That's right, I researched you. Check out his channel.
How dare you?
Metal Arena is very limited in the amount of blocking it has. So that's just one of many thoughts to consider. Mike, what's another thought that you got to brace yourself for in the strategies that we kind of know about? Is there one of those things you should be ready with in a lot of cases, even though a lot of these teams may not just come with that answer?
Well, I mean, again, like we just said, you know, you got to be aware of Juggernaut, so you don't want to have a map. You want to have a map at the ready that's got very little, if no, blocking. You got to be aware of Nimrod. So you either got to go the pulse wave route, or you can be outwit him. You know, get multiple outwits and do it the good old fashioned way, outnumber him. It's still scary to attack him, though, obviously, because what do you do about those dice? I mean, you can't re-roll that roll. It's just how that is. So, but it. I'm trying to remember without looking it up. His power, though, says it's their printed damage, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
their printed damage that it deals to them.
So one way to sort of get around the overall fear of it is if you've got the number manipulating on damage. So if you have people, like if you've got someone who's doing two or three damage normally attacking, and you jack that damage up, you know, with a bunch of perplexes to a 5 or a 6, then there's less of a downside if he ends up getting the roll. So really, if you have a large number team that can make a lot of attacks with boosted numbers, you should be able to win out over his rolls. In conjunction, obviously, with outwit, you got to get rid of that invincible, and you got to get rid of that shape change pain in the ass on the 175-point line. He also doesn't do well if you put him in something like the underground, because there's loads and loads of walls, so he's got less powers that he can pick that can actually hurt people. You got to be prepared for the sort of little chipping away at those Danger Room figures. You're going to see Magneto. Danger Room Magneto is going to get play 100%. Sabretooth, I'd put him at like 92%. You know, chance of getting play kind of thing. They're both really effective. The Magneto, especially because of the running shot multi-target psychic blast, he's great at taking out Colossals. So you got to be aware of that. Be prepared to face off against him. But all the usual stuff. I mean, Perplex is always good to have. You want to have ways of re-rolling your dice, and you want to have ways of eliminating powers like without wit. I think you're still playing the same basic game. Just as always, pay attention to the meta. Go take a look at what's been played and what's winning and what beats those things. You know, but Danger Room guys, oh yeah, Danger Room guys. It's great if you've got Quake is really good on the underground map, because you basically end up doing 2 damage for the price of 1, right? Because if you get them in a position where their back is to a wall and you can knock them off that toughness, you know, you hit them with the Quake, they do the 1 damage, they bounce off a wall, they take 1 damage. It's a nice 2 for 1. Anyway, I think I've yammered enough about Danger Room.
All right, there's more to go on. Jay, what about you?
I think people should consider the new, you can look at both players' sides of the card rule, because some characters, like the big Colossals, are basically a game of what click do I want this character on. You know, at Nimrod, you're going to chip away, and you're going to decide, based on the game state, what you want him on. Whereas in some cases, it doesn't matter. So maybe just something to consider in certain cases or matchups, like you're afraid of the Colossals, so you at least know what click you can optimize them to be on, sort of thing.
All right, cool.
Hey,
Devin.
quick.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Quick question before that. Hey, Jay, does Nimrod's trait trigger Colossal Retaliate? So as an
yeah, it's still his effect dealing out damage. They're not dealing damage to themselves in any way. So it's still his effect, almost like a weird pseudo mystics. In certain situations, he pings damage out.
Yeah, like as in if I attack Nimrod and I fail the roll and he hurts my guy, I can now Colossal Retaliate on him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, because Nimrod's trait is the one that's actually dealing the damage.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so that's a good thing to do. Yeah, great, awesome.
All right, Devin, anything you want to add?
Most of it already covered, so we're pretty much good. It was mentioned in the chat, the WWE map in the
Yes,
starters
the arena.
also has no blocking, so that's good to know for the Juggernaut matchup.
Yeah,
it's on both the ones with obscuring, like both the ring ones. So no matter what starter you get one like that.
Yeah, it's like the War Games and the open arena map, I think.
Right, each have a crowd that's obscuring basically no other terrain.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, WWE clicks don't have certain mechanics at all. So no matter what starter you get, if you want the ring or not, okay, that's good to know. Just in general.
Anything else there, Devin? Before I move on to
I guess Mudman can still show up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so watch out.
Brace yourself for that.
Well, that's all off the top of my head I can think
of. One thing I do want to stress on this one, WWE being legal. As a team, when you're building your team, if you're building a range-focused team, come up with your close combat contingency. Come up with the idea on how you're going to deal with not being able to shoot an entire team of characters. Because this is one consistent thing. I have played currently 7 games of Heroclix with WWE figures, and in 3 of them, my opponents looked at the ranged characters and said, "Uh-oh." So if you have a completely range-focused team, do yourself the favor and actually take a second and think, how am I going to fight in an only close combat situation? Because the WWE characters are super capable of doing that. But the trick is as well, when you're coming up with your close combat contingency, make sure you get at least 1 damage off. Because once you get that 1 damage off, then you can punish. Because that's another thing, is make sure you all have a way to do that first damage to a WWE figure. It is it's kind of opens the floodgates until you put them back down on the blue clicks. There was other things I was going to mention that don't matter for the format, so I'm just going to shut up on that one right now.
You just reminded me about how Macho Man is faster than Casey Flash. Because he does grand entrance. Turn 1, if you move, if he can hit the starting area, because he moves himself 12. Or is it half the move?
No, it's full move free out
full
of the
move
starting
10
area.
plus 2, because he can plus 2 his own speed. And then he does his charge, which triggers into his signature move.
You need an action token.
Yeah, you need an action token for the signature move.
Right.
You could
but you just
power move.
set it up so you just do that. So you just
that
game. Your opponent knows that's a tactic that's going to happen. I don't know why Emily isn't playing it.
Freak out.
You know who's red faster than the Flash? Bone Saw's faster than the Flash.
Hey, on the topic of WWE, and since Jay's here, say you have 2 WWE figures next to each other, one on click 1, one on click 2. Click 2 can be shot at, right? What happens if I shoot Energy Explosion on the one on click 2 and the one on click 1 is adjacent? Does it just not get shot? Or does it become the target?
It's very wording specific. I don't actually have a WWE tag.
I got one right here.
Oh.
And I will give you the exact wording. And it is the WWE rules ability. This character can't be the target of range attacks or outwit if they're on click number 1, they're on a click with a blue click number, or they've already been targeted by a range attack this turn.
No, they can still be energy exploded.
So just become
the only wording that would stop that is cannot become, which would bypass something that can also bypass the rules in general.
So it says because it says can't be the target as opposed to can't become the target. It's cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I ruled that wrong, Amber.
It's new. It happens.
It was a really weird situation. It doesn't come up frequently. So anybody who was at that tournament and was subjected to that ruling, I apologize. It's new to everybody, man.
I would have made that same mistake.
Yeah. Well, like somebody was talking to me today about the idea of calling in somebody with a WWE character, then pulse waving with them in the range, and then being able to use the I think it was Ric Flair. They would like pulse wave with Ric Flair in there and be able to use probability controls. Like you still can't use the probability control. It's just the not being ranged attack that's protected from pulse wave. So like, and since you're still in the air range of it, you're not able to use the.
It's so situational. Control. Nobody knows. It's never happens.
Yeah, but it's one of those weird quirks where it's like, yeah, you can. As an example, move with a WWE character, call in a character who can running shot pulse wave, keep that character in the range of the pulse wave, but they won't be able to do anything, but they won't be affected by the pulse wave because they're not being targeted by the attack.
Yeah, there's a difference between their small case or normal cases cannot be, or protected, and higher case protected, which is on the Black Panther. That's otherwise it's not there, so they can still it's
brace yourself. Anyway. I guess where I was really going with this is, in addition to coming up with the contingency of having close combat, if you are using the WWE things, do remember you don't have to do damage to immobilize with submission hold. I am picturing Juggernaut in a figure 4 leg lock right now, and none of y'all can take it out of my head. Woo! All right, so that's our points about Popper. Is there anything we want to add about Popper before we kind of move towards the end of the show, which is it's not a busy week this week, so or unless we have other topics for everybody. So Popper, anybody else want to add anything? Okay, any other topics anybody wants to bring up? Floor is open to you. All right, then we're going to move to the question portion of the show. And before we do that, I want to remind everybody, check us out at patreon.com/MarriedWithClicks if you want to support us in your own little way. I also want to share an announcement that was made during our Patreon Hangout last night. Amber will be stepping away from the channel for everything except for unboxing videos. She just her life schedule and life work schedule just doesn't balance into the channel, and she wants some space. So our marriage is fine. Everybody relax. She's just not going to be doing any of the work for the channel anymore. But I have these bozos to help me out, and Devon. Can't make fun of the visitors. You know that, guys.
That's all right. I'm used to it.
But that said, we still have the Patreon, patreon.com/MarriedWithClicks. Check out if you want to help support us. We're going to be doing a big overhaul of it in January, just to make it a little better for our patrons in the end. So keep your eyes open for that. In the meantime, we're going to move to the community group, our Facebook community group. That's the Married with Clicks community group on Facebook. If you just search it, we do have like you will have to request entry, and as long as you're not a robot selling sunglasses, I'll let you in. But every so often I do want cheap deals on sunglasses. So
they occasionally pop up on the Facebook trade groups. Surprisingly, you can't trade clicks for sunglasses though.
I found out.
Try.
Yeah, I did try. Apparently, I didn't actually do the work to try. I tried, not of my own accord. That's a joke. I've been lucky enough not to be hacked on Facebook yet. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. All right. Ooh, Michael Fedor has been busy today. I guess he. All right. And Michael Fedor being the alpha patron, we love him. He's been here since the beginning. So he says, "Ask and I shall receive. Remember when I voiced concern about Jane Foster going out of style and the game needing more healers? Well, how many healers should I commit to a higher point value Starfleet team with Dr. McCoy, Dr. Pulaski, Nurse Chapel, and several Dr. Crushers who can all use support? How many doctors, nurses is too many? I mean, more than you can use is too many." That's always the case. I know I'm guilty of using 2 Dr. Frankensteins, so I'm the worst person to say anything about this. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, I mean, I guess it's really what are you giving up for it, right? I mean, I would love multiple support. It's a 300-point build. You only get 3 actions per turn. So, how many do you want to be using support-wise? maybe I would cap it at 3, knowing that I could never use support more than 3 times in a turn anyway with a 3-action team. So I could space it out over time. I think any more than 5, and I don't know. They better be the cheapest support figures ever. Yeah, it's kind of a tough question to answer, really.
It is. All right, Devon, what are your thoughts on it?
Very dependent on what you're playing with, because you're going to throw out your attackers into the middle of the map, and usually the nurses or support figures stay in the back, right? You got to plan to get your figure back to be healed and not just die in a turn, like can happen quite often in modern age right now.
All right.
So I'd cap it at 2 or 3.
Yep. Jay?
Any more than 2 feels like you're committing more actions and you're getting value, but always minimum 1, because you either have a team that has it on their theme, like Dr. Frankenstein is free, the Sentinel leaders that you want to be doing that, like Trask, are doing it for free, or if you're rated in good stuff, you're playing the Orville one, will essentially sidestep 8 attack for free. Why not? And your defenses are low enough when you get hit, so it's really always why not, because it's free, or you happen to have the option, so you do it, or you have to. So more than 2 is not, you're not getting enough value out of it.
All right. His next question here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking of so many more questions after the patron hangout, which he was there for. You can maybe save this one for a madness video later if I'm asking too many. Don't worry about it. Can you please power rank generic theme keywords: robot, mystical, cosmic, celebrity, now with the WWE clicks, soldier, animal, monster? Thanks. Okay. So generic keywords and where do they stand in the power rankings? I think we can all unanimously say cosmic is still number 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I kind of sits up there. I think monsters somewhere between 2 and 3. If anybody wants to disagree, yell at me now.
You always think it's not, but then you see Tyler playing it and you're like, oh, you powered that properly. That's actually scary.
Yeah.
I think Mystical is still there. Mystical is still strong in the top 3 as well. And I think Monster and Mystical could be argued kind of on par, if not one is better than the other, depending on who you are.
Yeah, I want to give the edge to Mystical over Monster, because I think that there's Monster in general, if you really look at it, leans a little bit more towards close combat than range options. At least from what I've seen of Monster teams and Monster builds, versus Mystical seems to sort of have both covered. And there's the added benefit of Mystics is still not a bad way to dish out damage on people attacking. And I also have to look at the Colossal Retaliators that have Mystical right now, specifically Tri-Sentinel makes that, I don't know. There's a lot of good Monster Colossal Retaliators too, but I still want to give the edge to Mystical over Monster. But I think that's the top 3. I would find anybody hard-pressed to argue that Cosmic, Monster, and Mystical are not the top 3 generic keywords right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. Anybody else kind of agree with the top 3 at least?
Yeah.
All right. Then the next one I would probably put in there is Robot, just because we got a ton of Sentinels, and the Danger Room guys kind of just really accentuate Robot. Anybody kind of not on par with that being on 4? Or?
No, I think that's exactly the right point, is that everything that just came from that animated X-Men set really gave Robot a huge boost.
All right, I'm going to say it. Number 5 is Celebrity. Come at me.
All the wrestling, I'd say, probably puts that up there now.
Wrestling combined with Mojo is ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think Scientist has taken a bit of a hit, and WWE definitely catapulted Celebrity up there.
Yeah, I think Scientist is still good. I was going to add another one that I thought got a really big boost with WWE, which was going to be Politician, but I think Scientist still sits above Politician as really good.
They make Dolph Lundgren.
I feel like Ruler is better than Politician, though.
Fair point. So we'll put
Ruler has much more going for it.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, Ruler almost, if you build a Ruler theme team, a really good one, it almost looks like a monster theme team. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Monster or mystical usually.
Yeah. All right. I think it covers the main ones. Everything else kind of falls into this category of not right now. Martial artists got a bit of a bump with the WWE, I think, but it still lacks some tools, I feel.
Yeah, it's
reporter lowest.
Yeah,
reporter is just way down there right now, but it's
That's
just
the bottom.
It's not a Superman team set year.
Yeah.
Martial artist has missed out since we lost the Nightcrawler that grabs people and brings them back, Smoky Feet Cap, Mask Killer from the Watchmen set. That was the heyday of when there was just gross amounts of awesome mystical. Yeah, totally. Bullseye, all that. Those were the heydays. That was the golden. I played a really gross. I think it was like a 500 point martial artist team at a fan expo event, and it was insanely gross. Yeah. The Nightcrawler ran out and grabbed the White Lantern Sinestro, brought him back to my area, and I killed him in one turn. Murdered him in one turn. It was gross.
That was when you didn't need support to help. Like, you look at Mr. Martial Arts there, it's like, you don't have TK. Don't need it.
No. Nightcrawler touched your Galactus. Well, guess what? Galactus is now bamfing across the map.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man. I can't wait to slam Galactuses.
Yeah.
All right. Michael Fedor's Swarmer questions continues. WWE pieces. How do you feel about the balance between male and female pieces? Since there will be mixed gender tag team sets and such, in a real life world where WWE limits contact and violence against women, can Clix Asuka still be able to defeat Clix Kane? Hopefully I've been able to explain my question accurately. All right. I'm going to say this in the world of pro wrestling, and I'm going to anger certain pro wrestling fans, and I don't care. Intergender wrestling is cool with me, so long as everybody is being safe. I feel the same way about wrestling males and wrestling females. As long as everybody's being safe, everything's cool. That aside, wrestling is also a cartoon. So, yes.
It's not real?
I found out myself like a week ago.
This whole time?
It was mind-blowing. That aside, joking aside, I feel like the way that they portray wrestling on TV versus the way they portray it in Clix should match up pretty well. And in the current moment, there hasn't really been like a, hey, this is Asuka could definitely beat Kane, but in a certain strategic moment, if I'm playing Kane and if I'm playing Asuka and my daughter's playing Kane, I might have a chance. And just aside from the characters and what they can do. So that's what I'll say about it. I feel like they've kind of covered a good number of female and male wrestlers this time around, including some female wrestlers that older wrestling fans would know and newer wrestling fans would be familiar with. And, that pop culture Ronda Rousey include where everybody knows who she is really worked. So what they've included, I think, really works. And I'm going to shut up now and let Jay answer first this time because he doesn't get enough first on the questions as it is. With his mic on, I'm sure he'll answer the question.
I think you surprised him.
I know.
That helps. It reminds you of the Muhammad Ali vs. Superman set where you look at it and you say, oh, they really balanced it well. And then you look at how they introduced the set into the environment and it feels like, oh, they actually considered it and they did a good job of it. So it does feel like Asuka. Like, what do you do to handle Asuka? It's almost the same thing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Your thoughts there, Devon?
I really wish Muhammad Ali had the WWE team ability now.
Agreed.
Oh, he got shot so hard every time I play him. It seems balanced. I know nothing about wrestling, so all these characters are neat. I know Ronda Rousey's the recent fighter lady. Macho Man is Macho Man. Undertaker is some kind of dude that has a trench coat.
Undead zombie mortician.
There you go. Yeah, that's about as far as I go. You can't see John Cena. That's the meme.
They made a John Cena? I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Aha.
You can't see it.
Ton of interesting powers though. Sunday's 1,000-point game had a 40-point Asuka on it, and she submission hold using her special one, and it got to a point where she was doing like 3 damage.
Oh.
So, I mean, it can happen.
Nobody was ready for Asuka.
No. Especially at that high point value of a build.
That's amazing.
So yeah, they seem like fun. The team ability definitely helps prevent them from just automatically dying since none of them have range. So I really wish that had come out sooner.
All right, Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we played a crazy 4-way match with them, and they all seem pretty balanced to me. I thought there was a fair amount of female figures that they put in the set. I was happy to see that. It didn't seem like they were shying away from it, and it wasn't just like one or two. I mean, isn't there six that come out? Because there's two
Sasha
in
Banks.
the yeah.
There's Charlotte.
Yeah.
There's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. Trish
Stratus. Asuka.
Yeah. Ric Flair's daughter.
Charlotte. I already.
Oh, that was Charlotte. Sorry.
Yeah, Charlotte Flair. So I think there's 6.
That's 6.
Yeah.
That's
good.
fair amount. I mean, again, from a sport that's been male dominated forever, they had the women of the WWE were almost like pseudo managers more than anything else, right? Like they didn't make an Elizabeth clique or whatever. We could have had that. So it looks like a fair representation, and with all of the permutations with the way the powers interact and with these signature moves, I think anybody on any given day can do really well with these clicks. They do crazy stuff. I feel like a noob playing with them. Like seriously, I'm like, what? You can do what right now? I was so close to pulling off a Stone Cold Stunner on like 5 guys in a row, including one of my own guys. But that stupid immobile from the poison that's not poison. Like
I wanna get that
so
guy
weird.
and then pair him off with some Starro fights and just like this one, it's dead.
Oh yeah,
moving 2 squares.
Get
another
that would
one.
be so much fun. Squid to
off
the
your
face. Yeah, like it's so I like the excitement of it that way. I like that definitely there's something that they've done in the game mechanic that really makes these moments that feel like you're watching a wrestling match, because that was what wrestling does for people. Is you're watching it and then all of a sudden, oh my god, he's pulling a chair out from under the ring.
Oh God!
You know, like
Oh man, I wish that was someone's power. Like if they're near hindering, they just pull out a light object.
well, that's what's going to happen down the road, man. I'm
it could
waiting
be.
for
Series
for
2.
managers to be made. I want to see a Mr. Fuji. I want to see a Paul Bearer. Like, you know, maybe there'll be resources. Remember how we had that penguin figure that was a resource?
Yeah.
They should make some of those managers as like off the ring resources. There's so much stuff to do there, and
They do like a cage match, special terrain.
totally
That'd
right.
be neat.
See, it is good again that they've done something in the game mechanic that is really facilitating these weird moments of, oh my god, I can't believe that this is about to interact with this and this. So kudos for them. I think there is a game balance they put in there with the whole not being able to make ranged attacks on them. So yeah, I'm happy with the female representation in it. Hopefully that'll continue, and I do think there's a balance amongst the figures.
Yeah. Can't wait till Series 2 myself. Michael Fedor goes on, and he's sad that he didn't think of all these last night when he was on the Patreon Hangout. Which WWE characters should be title characters? Bonus points for the correct answer. Becky Lynch, the man. I don't think any of them should be title characters, to be brutally honest. I think because of the nature of the way that we purchase them, they should just stay as they are, as just really good, really cool characters that fight in close combat, and I don't think we should step into title characters just because of how new player friendly they're trying to keep these. That's a personal opinion on that one. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. They seem to be a slightly simpler, in a way, kind of build, like no holds barred. No, just keeping it on the mat. Oh no, wait. These are all bad analogies. Anyway, you know what I mean. Like I kind of agree with what you're saying from it. If they were, I feel like you kind of just have to look for somebody who has, a good sort of title name or whatever that could fit in, like, the natural Ric Flair or something like that. But if they were really going to do a title one, my big throwout would be Roddy Piper.
Fair.
That's what I want to see as a title character.
All right. Jay.
I don't really see the point. I think it's pretty well designed as it is. So adding more mechanics, at least right now when it's fresh, is kind of probably too much all at once. So, and you also get the premise of how it's simpler. So you do. I think it's balanced in its simplicity. So no, I don't see anything that would work. I'm only talking about the game mechanics, but
Okay. Devin?
Yeah, pretty much just for the same reasons. It's their new player push for the year, so new mechanics like that should be saved for like the main booster sets, and also just the rarity for what you're buying them at, since you know what you're getting. I could see them making like I don't know if in the single player rulebook if there's the unique ring. I mean, if you wanted to design a figure that you wanted to make sure they weren't playing multiples of, maybe that, but definitely no title or prime characters yet, just because it's supposed to introduce new players to the game.
Yeah.
We don't need to confuse Xavier Woods more than we already have.
Yeah, they were definitely having their challenges with the game.
Who doesn't?
That is its own thing. I don't want to back of the cards.
If only they had a content creator to reach out to.
I mean, look, if they would answer their tweet or their DMs on Twitter, we could have done this in SummerSlam, man. I could have helped them out. Just introduce them to the game, the more complicated version of the game. So
I was rooting for you.
Yeah,
but,
I tried. I did my
next
best.
time.
I just hitting send on that DM took me like 7 minutes. It's just like, do I do this? I'm literally trying to contact Xavier Woods. What am I doing with my life right now? Oh my God, this isn't gonna work, is it? That was the spectrum of emotions I went through on that one.
Yeah, you never know till you try, though.
No, and I tried. I don't even think he read it because it's like it's listed as sent, and I think there's a sent and seen notification on Twitter DMs. So,
well,
like
now he's more familiar with what HeroClix is, so you might have a chance for Series 2 next time.
I just don't want to seem like a stalker either. That's the other thing. Is like, well, I've already sent a message, and my second message is gonna be like, "Hey, man, you're in Toronto again. I'm gonna be in the stadium." Maybe I should just stop referring to it as a collab. Anyway, Michael Fedor's last question here. He's referring to the chick kick on Trish Stratus. Should be a pretty quick one. And the ability, the chick kick, make a close attack, modified damage +1 for each action token on target. Does this is this stackable with Perplex, and or does it also battle the rule of 3? It does follow the rule of 3, but you can Perplex the damage once. You get +2 if they have 2 action tokens. Rule of 3 does apply though, right, Jay?
Nod your head.
Which one was this?
The chick kick on Trish Stratus. Close, make it close attack, modified damage +1 for each action token on the target.
It's not damage dealt.
Yeah. It doesn't say damage dealt. It's just modifying damage +1. So
you make an attack, and there are maybe modifiers. So you just check modifiers.
Yeah. So it would still apply to the rule of 3 in this case with your Perplex. But here we go. For somebody who's not Michael Fedor now, Brian Sinkoff, he has a question about Popper. I'm still trying to figure out my team. Who should I run with Nimrod? I was thinking Mudman and an ID card. Also, what is a good Avengers team? So I'm going to just say Mike already said a good Avengers team. But as far as if you're running a solo Nimrod, with the idea of the ID card, you can't run a 5-point ID card. It has to be one of the 3-point common level student ID cards. I don't think there's one that Nimrod needs because most of them provide an attack power. You just get an attack power. So why not increase the pool of attack powers you get by including a wrestling ring for 5 points? And then you can choose like submission hold or reversal or slam or stun. All of which, stun especially, super strong with Nimrod because it doesn't specify close attack. So you can stun with a range attack. That's my thoughts on it. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, actually, I was going to say that's really what you should do. Is you want to put the ring on there so that now you've got a whole extra slew of powers that you can pick from. Those powers are already useful. If you really were going to go for an ID, honestly, it may seem weird, but the only ID I could think of is if you found yourself in a tough situation, you needed to protect him for maybe a turn against Pulse Wave, you could call out Leech and use that to get rid of Pulse Wave. But honestly, I don't know why you would. If you're playing Nimrod, you're playing Nimrod as your team, right? That's your attacking guy. Why the hell would Nimrod call in somebody else when Nimrod could really do the job himself. So yeah, a Mudman in a ring would be a way better spending of the points.
All right, Jay.
I think it was covered.
Okay.
Oh wait, I would say the only other, if you really, really wanted to be crazy, you could theoretically throw a Friend of Humanity on there because you'd then be a Sentinel named theme team with the 2 figures.
Probably.
So if you really were desperate for getting a theme team, that's something that you could do.
All right, Devon, anything you want to slide in on that question?
Is Nimrod? Did he say Nimrod was on his team?
He
Yeah,
said, "Who
yeah.
should I run with Nimrod?" I was thinking Mudman and an ID card. So I mathed it out to
Okay.
he's running basically a 1-man army, Nimrod.
Yeah, because if you're running just Nimrod, Mudman, the ring is you can't equip a ring.
No,
the wrestling ring.
Wrestling ring. Oh, okay. Yeah.
The WWE
okay.
ring.
Yeah.
I did think of one thing. So if you have the WWE ring and you pick reversal, which is a free attack, right? You might as well, if you have points left over, run the leech, because you could, if outwit helps you outwit their defense, make the free attack with, call in leech, outwit their defense, free punch. But that's all I can think of.
Yeah. It's one of those situations, like you have that last 25 points,
Yeah.
and the Mudman is good, and the ID card is good. There's other ways you can spend the 25 on your own comfort level, and so there's a couple other options. Mudman's good. He's hard to kill, so there's nothing wrong necessarily with the Mudman. So
Emily in the chat says Stark Tower map bonus for the Pog.
Oh,
That's a
there
good
we
idea.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good point.
That is smart.
Yeah. Or the ring and 15 points of something. There's a lot of directions. I love this game. That 25 points is so hard to spend now.
Yeah.
Like, not difficult. It's like, oh, there's nothing that is 25 points. Like, oh man, there's so many options with 25 points.
It's always interesting hearing players come back to the game and like, why are there so many colossals on the table? Aren't they like 1,000 points? And like, no.
No, that one's
10.
25.
Yeah, this one's 10.
10, yeah. This
That
one's
one's-
10.
That one's 75.
It's my point filler.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just filling out the rest of my team.
Can you
They're my
imagine
support
Galactus
figures.
next year having a retail click? Like, yeah, this is a 10-point Galactus.
I'm gonna say it now. If Galactus has a retaliation click, shame on you, WizKids. You did a perfectly good job in Avengers Infinity not giving them all retaliation.
Yeah.
And like cosmic beings are above this retaliation stuff. Let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, he's going to have retaliation.
He's gonna have retaliation because they just want to sell 1 million Galactuses.
It'll be like, did you just point that ultimate nullifier at me?
He's coming right for me.
Yeah.
Did you say your name was Reed Richards? I hate that son of a...
It'll be like Mangog, where there's a secondary effect that should be scary, but the game's already over if he hit. So you're like, oh, yes, and like, okay, game over.
Man, Gog.
I'm picturing
I
the
can see that.
large-scale implications of Galactus tapping out right now, though.
He's just scared of the Undertaker. He
He
has the trench coat.
Beware the Hell's Gate, man. All right. So, in the questions in the chat, if you're still live with us in the chat, capital letter question will catch my attention, like Rick Yell here did. With Onslaught, Juggernaut, and Nimrod likely being played in large numbers in Pauper, does the Fast Forces figures become viable with all their bonuses versus Giants and Colossals? They're options, that's for sure. And I know that Gambit specifically, the ability to add probability control when dealing with Colossals and Giants, because he does it to adjacent or characters. The keyword is that how that
X-Men.
worked?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like Starfleet.
So that could really go a long way if that's something you're considering. What do you think about that, Jay?
There's just enough good student ID cards that you look at the filler character and you're like, oh, a 25-point Mora that gives me like twice her value, and then just good stuff. So you're like, almost fine. It's good enough.
Yep. Devin?
Yeah. All the special defenses you get from that Fast Forces. If you really want to stop Juggernaut and you're sure a few of them are going to show up, pack some Fast Force X-Men.
Mm-hmm. Mike, anything? Are you for or against?
4. Yeah, I can't argue with anything that's been said to that.
Okay. Lex Riley also hypothesizes the idea of the biker Undertaker as a peanut base as a Con LE. I love that idea. There's so much that you could do with Con LEs alone with the WWE guys. Like, just stuff you don't expect them to sell on the shelf, but something you'd expect to catch an eye as a convention figure, like Biker Undertaker or something.
Mankind.
Yeah.
Oh, Calder was there was a convention in Omaha this past week, and he was Sting, and I only remember Sting because there's that video of him where he has a mask on, and he rips off
Takes
his
off the mask
like,
and Sting's in his makeup under the
have
mask.
like Sting that comes with a mask equipment.
Yeah, you can have a Dude Love to go with Mankind, and that'd be fun.
Yeah. Or you know what? All three. Go Dude Love, Mick Foley, Mankind, and just shifting focus in a box. Ooh, tag team. Like, I feel like not necessarily the next series, but one series in there somewhere. Throw us a couple tag teams in a single box. You know?
The DC animated set next year has some kind of weird card where if you pair certain characters together, so you almost have what could be the start of a tag team thing.
Baby.
Oh, I want that. I want Legion of Doom.
We don't
I
know
want
anything about
Demolition.
the card or
I want the British
anything, right?
Bulldogs. I want the Killer Bees. Oh, B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. Come on.
Mike is talking like old school NWA
Oh, yeah.
guys that also happen to be suing the WWE for a concussion lawsuit.
Yeah, of course.
So, awkward moment here.
Wonder if we'll ever get an Owen Hart click. How does this? What's his signature move? Fall from the rafters.
Too soon.
I hit that
Like die.
turnbuckle. Yeah.
Oh.
Ouch.
Ouch. Oh, damn you, Vince Russo. Here's a question that actually came up, and once I've read the wording and kind of understand it and asked another WizKids judge, or somebody third hand asked a WizKids judge, WWE ring bonus, is it just for the person that paid for the ring? Based on the wording, yeah. So it's like the way it's worded is a character you control in the ring making an attack gets to reroll an attack, and then a character you control targeted in the ring can re-roll an attack from outside of the ring. Now, that means you're going to have to pay attention to whose WWE ring is whose if there's two of them. And please, if you see somebody with a WWE ring, play on the War Games map just for fun. Just so you can cover the two rings. It's cool. Be fun. Because it's time for War Games. But, oh God, I forget I'm like maybe 7 wrestling fans get that reference.
I'll have to study up.
It's in NXT because WWE is still doing War Games at NXT. The general manager is William Regal. He's got a British accent, and every time he just kind of interrupts a big fight between like 8 guys and says, "War Games!"
All right.
And then everybody loses their mind because it's November and we're going to watch 4 people beat the crap out of each other in a double ring with a cage over top.
Dang.
Best day ever. It's like Christmas in November. Okay, that covers it for the questions. We're going to take a quick peek in the Discord just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, Troll the Metal Lab has got some white on it. Holy smokes, say Metal Lab people. Okay, do you smell what the ROC is cooking? It's popper. It's popper. It smells like popper. A lot of equipment, money in the bank. Well, they gave us a briefcase. I think it was one of the light objects, wasn't it? Title character Bobby Heenan would be cool. Who doesn't want a Bobby Heenan?
Who's Bobby Heenan?
Manager. The brain, Bobby Heenan.
If you look at the Andre the Giant figure, he has the Heenan family keyword. Anybody with that would be managed by Bobby Heenan. Yes, I found something.
Got it. I'm on the same page.
There we go. The best manager and announcer ever.
So you think we'll ever get a Hogan click? I assume
Are there
not.
a lot of those keywords, or is that like the only one?
Right now, there's only Andre, but there's potential for like a dozen figures. That's
So
Like
there's a
Yu-Gi-Oh
Ric Flair with that.
situation.
What's that?
There is a Ric Flair with it.
Oh, that's right. One of the Ric Flair. So there's 2 characters with the Heenan family because Ric Flair was one of the Heenan guys. So they could feasibly make Haku or the Barbarian. I'm going by his real name. Apologies. They could go with Rick Rude. I think
King Kong Bundy.
King Kong
Wasn't
Bundy.
he?
Yep, they could go, yep. So there's a lot of old school wrestlers, especially in the heel factions, that could fall under that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Didn't he even manage the Iron Sheik for a while? And Nikolai Volkov?
I want to say yes, but I also might be wrong. Because I'm not like super up on Bobby Heenan's all the guys he's managed because I caught like wrestling in the late 80s, early 90s. So he was kind of moving away from being a manager by then and being more of a ring announcer. Him and Gorilla Monsoon, best announcing team ever. Don't get me wrong, I love JR and the King, but man, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla were great.
We need George the Animal Steel. We need a George the Animal Steel.
Oh,
He'll
yeah.
eat the turnbuckle.
Yeah. And you know what? With Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as well.
Oh, yes, Ricky.
So I want him on par with the Macho Man. I want to recreate WrestleMania 3.
And Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
Oh, no, come on.
minus the murder.
Well, sure, yeah. Well, you kind of feel the same way about Ultimate Warrior. But,
Fair point.
Well,
Well, he's uncomfortable. I mean, we also noticed we didn't get a Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior.
well
yet.
that's it. Like, I would be surprised if we ever get a Hogan, really.
Well, I mean,
Does he not own the rights to the name or something?
Well, there's a whole lot of,
Okay,
Yeah.
it's wrestling stuff. Got it.
Well, it's beyond wrestling stuff. It's he owns Gawker Media stuff because he sued them for some nasty things he said in the video. Yeah,
I remember that now. Okay.
He had some choice words that were not appropriate. It's kind of the same with the Ultimate Warrior. Towards the end there, he said some things that were like, ugh, do you really want to be like honoring people with the Warrior Award there, guys? Or just,
Plus, there was already the Hogan sex tape that he went and sued a bunch of people about first.
That was the Gawker thing.
But that was the first thing that happened, and then there was the follow-up thing. Yeah,
where it's like the certain words that were said, like,
yes.
whoa,
yeah,
oh my,
yeah.
That's probably why they didn't make him.
Yeah,
awkward. It's just like, I would be surprised if we ever got a Bret Hitman Hart HeroClix.
They've kind of smoothed over everything.
That's amazing to me.
But at the same time, he also helped AEW unveil their belt, and Vince McMahon is petty.
Yeah, because I worked on that movie his last year in wrestling.
You
Wrestling with Shadows.
Wrestling with Shadows.
So I'm surprised to imagine Bret Hart involved at all with anything WWE.
All right, we're deep on the pro wrestling tangent.
We have
yeah.
wrap this show up.
related thing. We forgot to mention Australian Nationals.
That's
happened.
right. I actually put a link to that down below. The finals for Australian Nationals did occur very recently, and I forgot the channel's name.
Under the Dial.
Under the Dial?
Yes.
Under the Dial has the video of the matchup. I put a link down below that, to kind of give everybody a chance to look at it. And if all reports are correct, the Blackbird won. And it was backed up by some really cool stuff. So congrats to the winners in that one. I have to watch the video myself. And it was Terry who won?
Yes, that's the only information I have to go off of.
It was Terry versus Anthony, and their teams are listed at the beginning of the video below. Check it out, and just see some cool stuff happening down under, as it were. And a lot of people get hesitant, like somewhere not North America, are they going to have newer stuff? They were using Dark Phoenixes, the Blue Flame Phoenix, as part of the Blackbird team. And it was versus a Cosmic Theme team. So they're up to date on the metagame. So check it out down there. Thank you for reminding me on that one, Devon. You provided me with that video. And before I do start signing us off, Devon, tell us a little bit about Happy Little Heroclix.
I'm a YouTube channel. Haha. That's it.
Links down below.
Yeah, links. You know the deal. Like, subscribe. All the same stuff.
You do that, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to hear about when we release
Smash
the video.
that like button.
Smash the like button. Bash that bell.
Yeah. Into your veins.
Oh, man. All right. with that, Devon, thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to the next couple of weeks where you can help us out in the absence of Mr. Mike and Tom. And I want to thank everybody for watching live, watching in the archives. Also want to thank our long-term sponsors over at Majestic CCG. Check out the Apex Insiders links in the description below. The Apex Insiders section of the website, $3 a month, gets you access to some really great brains in the game of Heroclix, as well as some out-of-their-mind ideas. Some weirdo named Jason Collins puts up articles on a semi-regular basis. Some stupid Sentinel team he put up on there recently. So check that out. And also, again, patreon.com/Heroclix. If you want to support us, any little bit helps make the channel a little bit better. And, any little bit will help the future of the channel as I come up with some more and more ideas to manage the channel on my own with these guys. So, and any level of Patreon gets you access to our patron Discord, which has been really active lately with Pauper States kind of around the corner. And I want to thank everybody for enjoying themselves in there and chit-chatting, as it were. So you get the patron hangout and the patron Discord access, and higher values have other cool things that we allow in it. But that said, Pauper States this weekend and the next weekend, it's time to start building those teams, get them on the tables, and get practicing them, because practice, ladies and gentlemen, will make your teams better. Everybody have yourselves a wonderful evening, and